A former medical school professor for about 3 decades, orthopedic surgeon Kim Yong-min made his move to become a field worker at the medical humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders, MSF. Letting go of his stable professorship, he chose to provide medical treatment abroad in the Gaza Strip, a Palestinian territory, and the wild in Ethiopia. He tells others that he is content with the path he chose. MSF field worker Kim Yong-min shares his story on today's Heart to Heart. Doctors Without Borders, also known as MSF, is an international medical humanitarian organization that offers medical attention, medical treatment, and care for those that are in need in war-torn or disaster-stricken areas. Joining us today is a field worker who left his stable professorship to be a part of MSF abroad. I would like to welcome MSF field worker Kim Yong-min to the studio. Hello, 안녕하세요, 반갑습니다. Thank you for coming today. I would like to begin by asking you when you joined MSF.
I joined MSF at the end of 2017, but I started my career as a field worker last May 2018.
Okay. So, of course, there are many NGOs out there. So, of all the other NGOs out there, what attracted you to this organization, to MSF?
I found in MSF I can get a little variable duration of activity, so sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. Also, they support adequate expenses of transportation and living, also small salary. And also I found that MSF is the most dedicated for aiding humans, and they have very nice basic principles such as independence, impartiality, and neutrality, and so on.
I see. Can you tell us about possibly the very first relief work that you did at MSF? What it was like, where it was?
It was in Gaza, Palestine. So I had to fly to Israel first. At the time, I was still a medical school professor.
Yes.
But they recruited doctors in emergency base, so I could go there. So via Tel Aviv airport, Israel. And then I moved by car to Erez crossing, border between Israel and Gaza. Then I entered Gaza finally.
Okay. I'm sure you were ready to go, but just curious, what kinds of thoughts went through your mind before you actually left and took that plane to fly to, to arrive at the Gaza Strip?
But it was my first mission. Actually, I had no idea about the situation, but it's kind of challenge or adventure. So for me, adventure means a big curiosity overwhelms the risk or fear. So I can tell you, I had a really big curiosity about new field of my life.
And you were ready for almost anything. In the boundary of imaginable things. Now, we hear through the news about patients with gunshot wounds, them filling the wards and the hallways of Gaza hospitals. So I'm curious, I would first of all like to ask you, how serious is the situation there?
When I arrived there, every weekend, new casualties of a gunshot injury comes to the hospital, replacing the other ones who were treated 1 week before, because the number of casualties is too big at the time. Also, another problem is, as you know, gunshot injury is a really difficult problem to treat because it remains long and wide tract in the body. Orthopedic surgeons call that as dead space.
The dead space is where the bullet travels through your leg or your body part. That dead space.
But cause of dead space can be variable, not only the bullet.
I see.
Anyway, there is a big defect on the leg or thigh. So big defect, this space is very difficult to expect to be filled spontaneously. Another thing is that space is very easy to be infected. So it means gunshot injury is really a difficult and very, very big problem to manage. So still in Gaza, more than 3,000 casualties. Among them, some people are cured, but still many young people are moving around with a fixator here, not covered wounds. So this is still very, very a big problem.
The healthcare system in Gaza is severely lacking. As you've mentioned, sometimes you can accept patients and make sure that they get the proper treatment. But at times, they do have to go and find help elsewhere because you're not able to help them. What thoughts go through your mind in those situations when you can't help a patient and you know that patient needs desperate, immediate help?
The problem is I have my principle about to manage that patient, but problem is equipment or other protocol. We have many limitations to do that. So when I left Gaza finally, I was very not so happy because I know some way to do for the people there, but I couldn't do that because of many limitations.
Yes.
So I was not sad at the time. Yeah.
So having to be in a conflict zone, I'm sure, of course, you are working to help patients, but you have to worry about yourself as well. Do you often find yourself in fear of danger, possibly being a target of, I guess, bombs or any strikes that may hit the area?
Well, of course, security is the main issue and main concern of MSF. So we cannot walk alone. Cannot walk alone on the street, especially after sunset. And in the last mission in Gaza, I had to wake up at night while sleeping because of noise of bombing and also shaking of our compound building. So I could not sleep anymore at the night. Also in Africa, another mission at the time, while we were having lunch together, very noise, gunshot sound came to our compound. So all the people lied down under the table or some sofa, everything. But still I was sitting on the table.
You were eating?
Eating. So the people later, they asked me, why didn't you escape from the table to lie down in the more safe place? So it's kind of joke. I told them, I'm old enough. I lived enough.
I've lived long enough.
I lived long enough.
Wow.
So, but sometimes I heard that in a far place, such as West Africa, they had some serious problems because one of Korean field worker, a doctor, had to come earlier than her period because of very dangerous security situation. So MSF had to evacuate all the workers from that site because of security problem.
I mean, things that you can't imagine happen at the most unexpected times. But I'm surprised how everyone else just went flat to the floor and you continued to sit and very comfortably ate your food. How were you able to do that? I mean, were you not scared at all?
Yeah, of course, our compound is surrounded by high wall. So bullet cannot come. Bullet usually goes straight way. Bullet cannot come like this. So anyway, for me, there's any situation, any unexpected problem. So I think I have to be very, very prepared to everything.
And remain calm. It's one of the most important things, yes.
In peace.
In peace. Also tell us where you went for your most recent relief work.
My second mission place was in Gambela, the southwest end of Ethiopia, which is prominent to South Sudan.
Now, we hear about Africa's healthcare system, how it's struggling. Could you maybe tell us about the medical environment? What did the patients there receive treatment for mostly?
Two main problem is in orthopedic point of view, trauma and infection are the most common and main problems. So, yeah, in Korea also it was same. About 5 or 6 decades ago,
Yes.
it was same in Korea. But now in Korea, we can treat the patients with many, many modernized equipments or many other facilities. But in Gambela, Ethiopia, they are not available. So I had to find another alternatives to do that things. As I told you, everything, facilities, manpower, communication, everything is very, very difficult there. So for a few weeks, I found many, many difficulties in every moment. But especially one day, from the morning, everything was really in chaos. So nothing can be done as what I wanted or what I planned. And finally, I got tired and exhausted. And so I thought, this is another place for me. And I'm useless here. I have to go home. Yeah, I felt like that at the time.
And did you actually decide to leave?
Yeah, but I think it's a God's will. And on the way home, in despair and on the way home, I found a patient wandering alone in the hospital. Her elbow was injured. She was carrying a piece of X-ray, and I know at that time there is nobody in that hospital who can take care of that patient at the time. So I brought her to the surgical IPD. And I made a splint, gave medicine, new appointment, and I realized there is nobody, no orthopedic surgeon.
You were the only one.
I am the only one orthopedic surgeon at that area. Even though I have nothing utilized like Korea, but still I am the only orthopedic surgeon there. So at that time I decided to stay. And also I thought MSF mission is not made for me to do what I want to do. But I was sent there for the people who have no doctors there. So after that moment, I decided to work and find the best way as possible. So I felt no more frustration.
So this was when you actually decided to pack your bags and leave. But that one patient, you of course decided to treat her and you changed your mind. So how much longer did you stay from that day on?
I think it was a third or fourth week after starting my mission. And my total duration was 3 months.
3 months.
So later 2 months, I could work very actively. Because I was very happy to find myself, to be able to help the people there. Yeah.
How is it usually done? If a field worker decides to go to a certain area, whether it be a conflict zone or a disaster area, is there a given time that they have to fill when they go there? For example, do you have to be there for a minimum of 3 months, 2 months, 5 months?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
is
of
it
course.
different?
Well, we are given a determined term, but you can extend it if you want, or they approve it. Even you can shorten it.
I see.
If you feel bad or unsafe, then you can shorten the period determined, so you can come back home.
I see. How many countries are taking part in MSF's efforts?
Well, the number is not certain, but we have 37 offices in the world. Maybe the field workers from that number of countries are working in 74 countries.
I see. So 37, and of the 37, the MSF Seoul office is one of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When was the MSF Seoul office established?
It was in 2012, 7 years ago.
I see.
Yes, and yeah, of course, before the Seoul office, we had field workers from Korea in MSF by aid of Japan.
Ah, I see. But now we do. I mean,
Yeah,
since
now
7
we
years
do.
ago, there is a MSF Seoul
That's right.
office.
That's right.
Now, Doctors Without Borders, they recruit others other than physicians. So, who can take part if you're interested? Because we don't want to give the idea that you have to be a physician to help. So, what other types of people are recruited other than physicians?
There's a problem because in Korean name of MSF is like a Society of Doctors.
Yes.
So it's sometimes it makes a misunderstanding. Actually, MSF is working by physicians, of course, and then nurses, pharmacists, administrator, logisticians. So many kind of people can join MSF. Yes. So we have to make more announcement about it.
I see. So you don't necessarily have to be a physician, a doctor, a nurse. If you like to volunteer, you can, of course, offer humanitarian assistance as well. All right, now we have a better understanding. Now, last September, the MSF photo exhibition was held in celebration of the 7th anniversary of the MSF Korea office. So we have a clip for you all to enjoy. We'll be back right after this. Last September, a photo exhibition was held to celebrate the 7th anniversary of the Doctors Without Borders MSF Korea office. At the exhibition, fieldworker Kim Yong-min became the special docent himself, introducing photos taken on site and telling stories about them. Visitors got a sense of what it would have been like to be on site as they listened to Kim Yong-min, who was there himself.
It's not a usual way as a field worker to take a role of a docent in a photo exhibition, but I think it's a very efficient way to share the experiences and opinions of many ideas from field workers for the people to see everything here, this photo exhibition.
His guided tour about relief work was personally meaningful to himself, and it also profoundly impressed his participants. Kim Yong-min began the second chapter of his life as a field worker. Let's hear the rest of his story.
To serve others, you don't have to travel a long distance to get to a place you aren't familiar with. I realized that it's all about helping neighbors with my thoughts, words, and deeds at this very moment, and feeling happy as a result.
That's wonderful. Now that was an excerpt from your book. It's called 땜장이 의사의 국경없는 도전. Now it's about your 35 years as a doctor. And first of all, before we get to the meaning of the title of the book, I would like to ask you, what made you write and publish this book?
Yes, I had a big turning point last year. I changed my position. Also, last June was my 60th birthday. A great circle of life in Korea.
Happy belated birthday. Very late.
3 months ago already. So I wanted to record my past 60 years. So this is not a just simple, boring personal history, but I wanted to give many important and valuable messages to the readers. That's why I published this book.
Okay, so you share your life experiences. It's all in there in that book. Now, I'm going to get to the title of the book. It's, of course, called 땜장이 의사의 국경없는 도전, which I guess roughly translates to a challenge without border. And 땜장의 의사 is actually, 땜장이 stands for a welder or a repairer, someone that would repair like metal, weld them together. So what made you come up with this title? It's quite unique and unusual.
Yeah, I found also the translation into English, 땜장이 is very difficult, but I can tell you two words, defect filler or repairer. Also, it has I use this word in two meanings in this book. At first, yeah, there is some position which is necessary, but still vacant, because some people left there, nobody came again. So at that time, feeling that defect is a really good thing to help many people. Like I did in Haiti earthquake. They recruited orthopedic doctors, but nobody volunteered. And then I volunteered and I went to Haiti to help the people there. It's a kind of example of 땜장이. And second meaning is, mainly the role of medical doctor is restoring or enhancing problemed health of the patient. Similar with the actually meaning of 땜장이 is kettle, metal kettle. If there is a hole on the bottom of the kettle, it cannot be used as well. So like the kettle hole, the human can have some problems of function in body or mental. So main role of medical doctor is similar with filling the hole of a kettle. That's why I use this word.
You make doctors sound much more approachable, right? Because somehow when someone says doctor, we feel as if it's wow, But then again, you kind of give it a casual feel to it, a much more approachable. Maybe that's one of the reasons you also came up with that expression or that word, 땜장이, which, yeah.
Socially, usually doctors want to be treated as very high.
Oh, they do.
Rank.
They do, of course, deserve that respect.
But I think we have to be more humble. Our role is similar with other workers.
I see.
A kettle hole filler.
I love that story. Has becoming a doctor, orthopedic surgeon, always been a dream? Was it a childhood dream?
Actually, I had no dream of becoming a doctor in my childhood. Also, I had no idea of becoming an orthopedic surgeon when I was a medical student. Later, after graduation of medical school, I became a public health doctor in Sorokdo Island. Do you know Sorokdo Island?
I've heard, yes. Haven't been.
It's a leprosy center, National Leprosy Center. So there I found orthopedic surgeon can help disabled patients there.
I see.
So that's the reason why I chose orthopedic surgery as my job.
And so how long, how long did you stay in Sorokdo Island?
Sorokdo, yeah, it was from the beginning of 1986 to end of April of 1987. Only 16 months, not a long term, but it had a really profound impact to my life.
How did it affect you? That time you spent in Sorokdo Island, how did it affect you, as you said, impact you as a doctor?
The first thing is, as I told you, I chose orthopedic surgery.
Yes.
Also, I could see many young nurses, many volunteers like Marianne and Margaret, you know them, from Austria. So, yeah, I could see them helping the people who were abandoned by others.
Right.
So, at the time, I decided to be a doctor helping the people like them. So it was really a big influence to my philosophy.
So you have interacted with patients as a doctor and with students as a professor. You may have answered this question earlier as you were telling us about the importance of being a doctor. But what are the reasons, or what do you think is a reason for doctors?
You mean the doctor as an occupation?
Yes.
It's the same to all the other occupations. All the occupation has two aspects. One is for oneself, earning money, making high rank. The other aspect is for others. All the occupation is necessary because of that reason. It is useful for others. So medical doctor is one of the most conspicuous occupation in that term. So, but problem is now often people only concentrated to the one aspect for oneself. But so I often tell my students, we have to pay more attention, more concern to the other aspect, helping the people, especially patients, also other people.
Throughout our conversation, I can, I don't know, the word humbleness just sticks to my mind. You are doing such wonderful things. As we say goodbye, would it be okay for me to ask you if you could read a part from your book for us, for our viewers that are watching right now?
Okay. Is to say that things will be done in due time according to God's will. What humans can do is to do our best as we walk along the path that heaven prepared for us in our best interest. When humans encounter new opportunities, we continue to do our best. And it goes on. I think that's life.
That was beautiful. Read through that book. I think, yeah, it's a very, I don't know, I think it'll make us think about many aspects of life. A thought-provoking book. Thank you very much for your time today. It was wonderful to have you on the show. 감사합니다.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
And medical treatment seems like the light of hope for those that are in need, especially in war-torn areas or disaster-stricken areas. Of course, it would be a life-changing experience for you to go out there onto the site, be a part and join MSF. But even if you can't go out there, there are many alternative ways that you can help and share your heart, your help, and your love. Thanks for watching today.